I've done Somali. I haven't done Mali before. But I'm sweating. I was an artistic child, and that was a blessing and a curse, because I was also being raised evangelical Christian. And every evangelical, with their soul, knows that art is a gateway drug to drugs and homosexuality. You know, you go from drawing superheroes onto comic books, and next thing you know, it's unspeakable acts behind a gas station trying to fund your heroin habits. That's how this goes, but fortunately for me, in my eternal soul, my church had come up with a method of guiding their artistic youth back on the path of righteousness. How they partnered up with teen talent, Christian-themed talent shows where teens could enter with their Christian-themed art. Now, when I turned 14, I entered with this drawing. A very tight close-up of the crucified hand of Christ. Special attention was paid to the nail driven into the center of the palm, sort of the reddening of the flesh around the wound and the bloodstains on the old rugged cross. This drawing owed way more to the heavy metal band covers that the kid down the street had shown me than it did to the Renaissance. But I belong to an apocalyptic faith, and they bought it. And I won the statewide team talent competition, which meant that I was automatically entered into the national competition to be held that year in a glamorous downtown Indianapolis. Young teams form their identity in many sources, including friends and family, social media, and religion. Religion is a powerful influence, as for many it provides a sense of meaning and community. However, for some it includes shame and guilt. Dr. David Lay explains in a 2017 Psychology Today article that religion gives a narrow understanding of sexuality and morality. He writes, therapists have been seeing a tide of young people feeling immense shame and pain for their sexual urges as they encounter the world of sexuality outside of this understanding. In the following piece, Brad Lawrence has to confront his inner demons, but our demons are not always what they seem. Elevator to Salvation by Brad Lawrence. So my mom, my sister, and I had finally arrived at the Hotel Convention Center, and it is so fancy. Like, I had never been to a place this fancy. But we go to our hotel room, we go up, we get our room keys, we go to this glass elevator, and we go to our hotel room. And my mother and my sister are ready to get their church on because there is so much church to be had on this weekend. But what I want to do, I want to go down to the little gallery on the far side of the lobby where my drawings are. So we split up, and as I'm going to the lobby, there is a wand and books. So fancy, right? So as a 14-year-old, a wand and books is synonymous to sci-fi, fantasy, comic books. And so I go into the wand and books, and I'm passing through the magazine aisle, and I enact in this ritual in which every 14-year-old boy knows to do instinctually. My eyes drift up, top right corner of the magazine rack where all the adult magazines were at. I catch at the corner of my eye, typed behind a Motor Trend magazine, the last two letters of the title, a O and a Y, but you know that font. So between me and the clerk, there is a rack of hardbook covers and a rack of bookmarks. So there is plenty of cover here. So I duck down, I grab a Playboy, and I flip immediately to the centerfold because there is a very small window of opportunity here to get as much female nudity in my brain as possible. And don't you catch me. And so, right here in the centerfold, there is a lovely Asian woman, arranged in a variety of different scenarios. Some are very logical, others not as much. Like there she is in a boxing ring wearing nothing but boxing gloves. Why? Don't know, don't care. But you know they say use like 20% of your brain. I use all my brain. And so, once I'm absolutely sure she is a permanent part of my brain, I close the book and I stand up. And I get this feeling in my stomach. It is like warm microwaved honey. It is amazing. So I quickly turn around towards my empty hotel room to do what comes naturally. So I go back into the lobby and I suddenly remember where I am. I am in the single largest gathering of evangelical Christians that I can conceive of. They're everywhere. They're all walking past me, these good Christian people. And as they're walking past me, they're smiling at me because they think I am one of them. Because they don't know what I know. So at that moment, all that warm honey began to turn cold and rancid. And I am leveled with a mountain of shame and guilt. It was at this moment when I realized that I am such a horrible sinner that even here, even in the most sacred place, the Indianapolis Hotel Convention Center complex, that even here I cannot resist the temptation of the demon lust. And I was taught that that is the most sad and most pathetic way to go to hell. And I just can't take their gaze anymore. They just keep staring at me. They keep smiling at me. And I just have to get away from here. You know, they keep... I have to get away from these good Christian people because I feel like a lie. If I go back, I'm going to be all alone and I'm just going to compound in my sin. I know that, but I don't want to be here and there's nowhere else to go. So I'm going to the elevator, press the button, I get into the elevator, and the doors are closing, and as they're about to close, a hand jumps into the gap and the doors spring back open. And the elevator gets 4 elderly people, 3 men, 1 woman, all of them wearing name tags identifying them as convention goers. The gentleman in the powder blue suit is also wearing a name tag identifying him as a minister. So now it is me, the minister's friends, and my mountain of shame all in this glass elevator. So now the doors are closing, the elevator goes up, and there it was, a brown shag carpet, road to perdition. I take 1 step towards, and I immediately stop. I turn around, and I announce to everyone into the elevator, I am having a problem with the demon lust. Will you pray for me? And so they're all shocked. And I look shocked. But their shock wears off faster than mine. Because they have been prepared every single day of their lives for the battle with Satan. And you never know when the call to battle is to come. And they are ready. So the minister goes all steely-eyed, looks at me, and he says, yes, son. Yes, we will. And so I sit back into the elevator. And they're all gathering around me. Place your hands upon me. Bow their heads and close their eyes. The doors are closing. The minister raises his hands to the heavens and he says, oh Lord, please raise this young man out of the temptations of the demon lust into your light and into your love. And as he's praying for me, the elevator is bouncing up and down in this glass tube over the hotel lobby like a great holy yo-yo as this impromptu prayer meeting is going on for the salvation of my soul. And it takes a really long time to save my soul. It takes so long, in fact, when we open up our eyes, a 5th guy had gone onto the elevator. Like, the elevator had stopped, he had seen the battle evil taking place, and he had joined in on the fight. And now there he is, smiling at me. And they're all smiling at me. The woman, she's smiling at me too and crying. And I might be crying too. And so he looks to me in the eye and he says, do you feel better? And I look him in the eye and I say, yes, sir. Yes, I do. And at that moment, I did actually feel better for a little while. 2 things came out of this. 1, my mother would apologize a number of those years after finding out what I had been taught in youth ministry. 2, my drawing took second place. But my religion was teaching me to take these tiny little sins and stack them up until they got so high they blocked out the sun. You do not lose your faith all at once. Losing your faith is a process, and for me, it took years. But there were many times in those years when I would look back into that elevator in the afternoon when it took 5 people to save me from the sin of being 14.